Hello, I'm Tara Brabazon. I'm the Dean of Graduate Research at Flinders University, and welcome to vlog 144, Future-Proofing Your Career. Now, this is a special vlog for many reasons. The wonderful Todd is with us, but it is also our New Year's Eve special. And these have become quite spectacularly interesting vlogs. The wonderful Todd Dearing is with us, and he's here for a reason. These vlogs try and provide a way, a strategy, a mode for you to think differently about your career, your trajectory, and your PhD for, yes, you've guessed it, the new year. Now, this man is an inspiration. I've loved every minute of working with Todd. He is the best of what we do at Flinders University. He is the archetype of a PhD student. In fact, I once described you, didn't I, that if you look in a dictionary for a PhD student, you will see a picture of Todd Dearing. He is a legend, but he is a creative. You are. He is
exaggerating.
I am so not.
I try my best.
You do. You're amazing, but you're a creative, imaginative, and brilliant scholar. And you provide a lot of great and interesting and innovative alternatives for us to consider. So you're ready to share some of those today?
Yeah, sure.
For our New Year's Eve gig.
Absolutely.
You're very special to us, Todd. So Todd, we'll start off with you because you are very special. Tell us about your thesis, the obvious question. Tell us about what your PhD's on.
Okay, sure. So I'm in English literature and I began in 2017. So I'm about 2 years into it. Got hopefully a year to go and to finish within a year. And my focus for my thesis is on William Blake, and around that Blake's idea. It started with Blake's idea of the human and what does Blake consider the human being to be, these sorts of questions. And then around that I started to develop this idea of new literary humanism, which recent researchers such as Andy Mousley and Bernard Harrison have written in the past 5 or so years on this topic, about questioning the human in literature in new ways. Humanism has a bit of a history going back to the Renaissance and classical period, which was quite Eurocentric in a way, and as they see it, and as I also see it, that's no longer a fitting model for our global 21st century world. So the idea that literature is now multiple cultures, multiple languages, and there needs to be a new kind of understanding of the human within that context. So not simply the human as a Renaissance European human, but the human as a global member of the human species. So I'm addressing literature in this way, looking at the theories behind that can help critique and read literary texts as in that sort of pluralistic perspective. And
I tell you what, Blake would be terribly proud that you're doing that thesis. I think he would, if he was you now, he would be doing a thesis exactly like that.
Yeah, I often wonder what Blake would think about it, and the questions come up once if I could invite anyone to dinner from the past, and who would it be? And I thought William Blake, and then I thought, would he agree with what I say or not? He'd probably have his own views, but
he'd be fascinated with the questions.
I'm trying to support his ideas through what I'm doing, and I think he'd enjoy it. Yeah.
Look, I agree. I'm absolutely thrilled with you. So, you could do just about anything, Todd, seriously. What made you decide at this point in your life and in the culture, if you like, to do a PhD? Why did you decide this was a thing for me?
Okay, I never imagined I'd be where I am now, but somehow I am. So I completed my honours, which was also on William Blake in 2016.
Right.
And I thought, what am I going to do next? And I thought, okay, I might as well do a master's degree, so I'll enrol and see what happens. And yeah, I got accepted for Flinders, and that was amazing. And then my supervisors were like, okay, you should upgrade to a PhD. So I did that and got accepted for that, and here I am. It's become the focus of what I want to do as an academic for a career. I want to pursue an academic career, research, teaching, service to the community, these sorts of things. So that's where I am.
And do you remember I met you, was it the first week of your enrolment? You came and saw me very early on, and Todd said to me, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to achieve, and we've been pretty good mates since then, and I've enjoyed every engagement we've had, and you've had a commitment and a focus that makes me so proud that you're part of what we do at Flinders. It's extraordinary.
Well, you're such an inspiration as well, I think, Tara, for Flinders, and I don't know where we'd be without you, especially the HDR students. So.
I didn't know you would say that. You're very kind to say that, but again, when you are a dean, you want to have a student like Todd, and that's why, you know, so much of what you advise us to do and all the different capacities in which you work are incredibly important. So therefore my next question is, what have you enjoyed from this process? Because you've said it was a surprise. What have you enjoyed from the process? And also, what have you found challenging, Todd?
Okay, I think enjoyment and challenge, for me, I'm the kind of person who enjoys challenge. So they come together, but to separate those two for a second, I've enjoyed the process of learning and research, and I guess there's a degree of freedom you're given when you start a PhD, and it's like, here you are, this is your project, it's up to you to do it. You're not led by the hand so much. And I've enjoyed that, the ability to read in different areas and research different ideas, and then to write about it, and then to, you know, transform and adapt those ideas based on supervisors' feedback and all this. The challenges, I mean, there's always the isolation in a way. I always like the community aspect of it, you know, group workshops, these sorts of things, but it's also quite an isolating journey. So that's been a bit of a challenge, but other challenges are just the rewriting process. I find, like, it's that continual reworking. It's like rebuilding something, and then, okay, the foundation needs to be stronger, so you sort of go down and build that again and then rebuild. So this whole rewriting process to bring the writing to a higher quality, I think that's been a big challenge for me, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, I mean, the nature of the humanities, we talked about this last week, the nature of the humanities is you don't know what you don't know. So it's hard on the humanities scholars, because you can do a lot of great work in the first year, the first 18 months, the first 2 years, but your brain is growing. And in terms of theory and theoretical sophistication, it almost takes 2.5 years to go, oh, that's what I'm arguing.
Yeah,
and so that can be quite stressful for the
absolutely.
students, because the way it looks for humanities scholars is everything's going well, and then you suddenly realise there's a jump in the theory, and you've got to then revise the previous chapters. So it can be frightening, but also, I think, terribly exciting as well.
Yeah. It's been a bit of a tour, I guess, of larger landscapes, which much of I haven't included in my writing, but it's important to know and integrate into other areas. So I get a broad view of different humanities topics, but then I only write about certain areas.
And that will put you in great stead going forward too, because the great thing about a PhD is what you're not talking about is almost more important than what you are talking about. Really powerful. Now, there are many reasons we're having this vlog. I always promised Todd that he would be the New Year's special because of something extraordinary that happened this year. The Australian government, bless, introduced a whole new suite of policies and procedures for our doctoral candidates around the words impact and engagement. So we have to report to the Australian government, quite rightly, because a lot of our students are on scholarship, Australian taxpayers' dollars, about their industry engagement and their impact with community and beyond. Now, obviously science and engineering, the social sciences, that seems relatively straightforward. What's the impact, what's the engagement in health and medicine and so forth. But I think I sent an email out about February or March informing our students this was the new thing and start to ponder your relationship with it. And within a couple of days, in comes Todd to have a chat to me about impact and engagement from a humanities perspective, from a Blake perspective. And you really, I don't want to use the cliche, but you took the ball by the horns. And you went, okay, I'm not going to give up on this. This is important. I'm committing to this. Impact and engagement, my time starts now. So what did you decide to do, Todd?
Okay, so yeah, I received this message from Tara, and as of yet, I hadn't felt that I'd engaged much, and that was necessary, obviously, as an important thing. So I decided to approach local libraries in Adelaide area, so different council libraries, and I sent out a number of emails asking them if they'd like me to come and speak at one of their public events. And basically on my research, but not exactly on my research, I plan to rewrite it in a more general sort of, for a general audience, and then received 2 replies out of 5 emails sent out, which is quite good, I think. There's still a lot more libraries I haven't contacted, which I will look into. And yeah, I was invited to speak at Unley Library. That was in October this year. And so I presented there. The topic was why read novels, looking at why humans read literature. This is from a recent survey done called Reading the Reader at Macquarie University.
Yes.
2017. And this was looking at the reasons why humans read, and especially in the context of technology today with television, internet, media, and the fact that also ebooks, electronic or print books, these sorts of variables, and how reading is still quite popular. It's one of the most enjoyable activities people still do, so it's still significant for humans, and addressing these questions of what do we get out of reading and what is reading about, including sort of the literary theory behind that, and presenting this to the public.
And look, that's remarkable to me. I'm a big supporter, I do a lot of research in GLAMs, galleries, libraries, archives and museums, and it's internationally a big area, a big thing, and it is an industry. And the idea that you've committed to, because I mean there's all sorts of things occurring here, Todd. You've committed to publishing, you've committed to understandings of reading, which activates the knowledge economy and education as diverse industries as well. And also it's that great community outreach, the public educational function. Mm-hmm. And you're doing a wonderful gig, I think, for Valentine's Day next year, aren't you?
February the 14th next year at Marion Library. I'll be talking again, 1:30 p.m. I think you can look it up on the internet, Why Read Novels, Marion Library. So I'll be presenting there again, a similar talk, and I have a few other talks planned, but they'll come later in the year next year.
See, that's fantastic. When Todd and I were talking about strategies, for impact engagement, I think I used the phrase star turns, didn't I? And unbelievably, you translated that from 1930 speak to now. But it was about, why don't you think about, Todd, writing 5 or 6 really impactful talks, and maybe do a few freebies, but then note that there's also, a pay opportunity for you as well through public speaking, and know there is a revenue stream for you as well. Yep. Also, I'm sure my wonderful librarians, all my friends around the world who are watching this vlog, there are books here as well. So yes, there's the thesis, but these talks that you're doing are also, I think, the basis of small books alongside the thesis as well.
Absolutely. So I've prepared 3 talks so far. I've got a couple more to come, and then plan to turn that into a book at some point, like you're saying. And also your vlog the other week on audiobooks, that was really good. And I also have thinking about turning that into an audiobook. So there's a lot ahead, a lot of good opportunities.
And look, it looks like, I mean, the audiobook one was powerful, but it certainly looks like that's an important revenue stream for all of us. And, we're going to talk about our last couple of questions, Todd, are about you and the future. And you can see why he's amazing. I mean, that's, we talk a lot about entrepreneurship and being entrepreneurial with PhD students. Well, there he sits. And, he could sit in the humanities and go, I'm doing William Blake, deal with that. Or get out and be productive, be a public intellectual, be an organic intellectual, and intervene and create new interfaces with the community. I couldn't be prouder of it, Todd. It's unbelievable. So we've touched on this a little bit. What do you consider your future post the PhD, Todd?
Okay, so my plan is to complete my PhD and then apply for postdoctorate positions, sort of traditional academic career, but I wouldn't want to stop it there. Also, what we were just talking about, this public engagement, the public humanities, that gap between academia and broader human society, I'm really interested in the differences there because coming back to the topic of reading, how people read novels inside a university and how they read them outside a university, probably some ways quite different. So I'm interested in possibly a research project around that and reading, academic versus public reading, these sorts of things. So that's one idea. Interested. Yeah.
I'm so interested. So you are very much thinking, Todd, I am going to be an academic. This is my life work. You're picking up the vocation element so often. And I wish more of us had that. That's that intrinsic desire to be an academic, to go out into the world and do good.
Yep, absolutely.
You are an amazing human being. And look, we live in incredibly tough times in international higher education, Todd. I've bounced around the world, 9 universities, 4 countries. I've seen, the worst of what universities can produce as well as the best. And a lot of the best is at Flinders. But how do you maintain the incredible optimism? And I find you so optimistic. I gain so much from you. How do you maintain that optimism in difficult, dark times for the planet and also universities?
Okay, that's a good question. I think it comes back to myself and lifestyle. Having a background in yoga and meditation as well for these 2 decades, I think that's a good thing to maintain that inner equilibrium amongst all the turbulence in the world. And it's unavoidable that there's going to be ups and downs in the world, but keep your eye on the goal and keep working towards it. And don't let setbacks, actually turn setbacks into opportunities where possible. So having that kind of resilience, I guess, and I've always been optimistic, not everyone is, but I think there's advantages to pessimism as well in some ways, but it's not really my approach.
And it makes an incredible difference. So was there a better way to commence the new year than talking with Todd Dearing? I've got a feeling you're going to see this man a lot. I've got a feeling that I happen to be sitting with the future of the humanities here, and the state of the humanities is in a really good place with this man in the position of leadership, I think. So Todd, I thank you for what you do at this university, and I've got a feeling you're going to change this world in really interesting different ways. And the great thing about committing to reading, like Todd has done, is when you read, you have to transcend yourself. If you don't read, you just sit in yourself and you sit in your opinion and you sit in your life and your experience. When you read, you transcend. When you read, you gain an empathy and an understanding of others. I think you can see that in Todd.
That's exactly what I was writing about this morning before I came here. So.
And you are our legend. So I hope for everybody that might be in a bit of a sad place or a complicated place, thinking about the new year in front of us and your doctoral program and beyond, remember Todd, and remember what that commitment can be: the entrepreneurship, the public good, the community commitment. And we can really follow your leadership here. Todd, thank you, mate.
Thank you, Tara.
I wish you love, light and peace. Tea and tea. Out.